Hello world. We are anonymous. United we stand, divided we fall. America is not an independent country. It is slave to Zionist interests where PAC, an entity that serves the interests of the Zionist state, is not registered as a foreign agent. PAC, not Obama, rules America. Long before Americans get a chance to elect their members of Congress, every congressional aspirant must pass the loyalty test.
On U.S. policy for Israel. Well, every candidate for Congress at that time had a pledge. They were given a pledge to sign. So the pledge had Jerusalem as the capital city, the military superiority of Israel.
American Congress people have to sign this pledge.
Yes, you sign the pledge. If you don't sign the pledge, you don't get money.
Pay homage to Israel. Candidates, whether running for the House of Representatives or the Senate, receive a letter from the America-Israel Public Affairs Committee, PAC, demanding to know their position on issues affecting Israel. Most questions have to do with aid to Israel or with aggressive policies the Zionist state is pursuing against other countries such as Iran.
Of defiance, and now they have this man in Germany. And if someone doesn't look into this, the American people should be ashamed of themselves. When you allow one American to be violated, you threaten the freedoms of every American, and I can't understand this, why no one in Congress is raising their voice. And the reason is very simple. This may be you don't want to hear, I don't know. And I certainly don't want to hurt you on your show. You have one of the best. You're fair. But I believe that Israel has a powerful stranglehold on the American government. They control both members of the House and the Senate. They have us involved in wars in which we have little or no interest. Our children are coming back in body bags. Our nation is bankrupt over these wars. And if you open your mouth, you get targeted. And if they don't beat you at the poll, they'll put you in prison. It's an objective assessment that no one will have the courage to speak about. They're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. Wolfowitz, as Undersecretary of Defense, manipulated President Bush #2 back into Iraq. They pushed definitely to try and get Bush before he left to move into Iran. We're conducting an expansionist policy of Israel, and everybody's afraid to say it. They control much of the media, they control much of the commerce of the country, and they control powerfully both bodies of the Congress. They own the Congress. What I am is an American. You see, I think America comes first. And we have a one-sided foreign policy in the Mideast. And we've alienated Arabs who have no way of fighting. So what they've done, and I predicted this on the House floor, is they would export violence to America. And they have. They have no other way to fight. I think President Obama knows this. I think he sees this. I think he wants to do something. I think his hands are tied. And I think he's dancing between the raindrops, trying to figure how I can politically machinate some scenario to mitigate these problems. Greta, I'm saying this. America is in danger if America doesn't take back the government without foreign interference.
If candidates are not 100% in support of Israel or the position outlined by PAC, they are targeted and vilified through a dirty smear campaign, often leading to their defeat. Given the Israeli lobby's stranglehold on the media and its propensity to indulge in smear campaigns, few candidates are able to resist such blackmailing. It is far easier to go along with PAC's demands, however objectionable or repulsive, than face the barrage of unsubstantiated allegations when a candidate is in the midst of an election campaign. The Israel lobby, or simply the lobby, since it has become so powerful that few confuse it with any other lobby in the U.S., is a well-heeled machine that works 24/7 to advance Israel's agenda. While it acts on behalf of a foreign government, it has not registered as an agent of a foreign government as required by U.S. law. It wields so much power that at its annual gathering each March, politicians of all stripes scramble to appear and pledge loyalty, not to the U.S. but to the Zionist state of Israel. In 2008, when Barack Obama won the Democratic Party nomination, his first stop was the PAC convention. He boasted of his long association with Israel and his loyalty to the Zionist state. He has demonstrated this in practice. Initially, when he tried to bring the Zionist occupiers of Palestine and the puppet Palestinian Authority to sit down and come to an agreement that would have been beneficial to the Zionist entity, the Zionists quickly slapped him back into his place. Obama dropped the idea like a hot potato and has not raised it since. It is therefore not surprising that Zionist politicians Shimon Peres, Ariel Sharon recently died after being in a long vegetative coma, and the supremely arrogant Benjamin Netanyahu publicly boast that they control the U.S. Congress as well as the American political system. Even such writers as Paul Krugman, himself Jewish, has admitted that he avoids speaking out publicly about Israeli crimes because of the vicious attacks he would face. He says he avoids such issues in order to be able to do his work. Krugman is professor of economics and Nobel laureate who writes a regular column in the New York Times, but these are not enough to enable him to stand up to the Israeli lobby's bullying. The lobby demands total surrender and takes no prisoners. It is in the U.S. Congress, however, where PAC rules supreme. Pat Buchanan, political commentator and one-time presidential contender, as well as speechwriter for President Ronald Reagan, has dubbed the U.S. Congress Zionist-occupied territory. It has been reduced to a circus where members of Congress act like trained animals responding to the crack of the ringmaster's whip. They jump, roll or run as demanded by the lobby. Most Americans seem to view members of Congress even lower than circus animals. A survey conducted among 830 Americans from January 3-6, 2013, the public policy polling found that Congress was even less popular than cockroaches and lice. Americans also found it less popular than traffic jams, the pompous Donald Trump. France. Americans changed the name from French fries to Freedom Fries because they hate the French so much. And even used car dealers. Only 9% of those surveyed had a favorable opinion of Congress. Yet such low approval ratings have not led congressmen/women to change their behavior to represent the interests of their constituents rather than those of the Zionist state. The few members of Congress Ron Paul immediately comes to mind that stand up for American interests are a rarity. In the past, others have stood up, but they have been viciously attacked. Cynthia McKinney, a 5-term House member from Atlanta, was targeted and defeated. The Democratic Party, of which she was a longtime member, refused to support her against the lobby. She left the Congress and party in disgust, following in the footsteps of such other American patriots as James A. Bourezk, Paul Findley, author of several books about the lobby, Pete McCloskey, a decorated Korean War veteran, and Charles Percy, among others. Afghanistan. The Iraq War has bankrupted the U.S. and demoralized its military, but the Zionists are not content. They want more wars because this is what the Zionist entity in occupied Palestine demands. This year's raft of anti-Iran and pro-Israel bills included the House Res. 850, the Nuclear Iran Prevention Act of 2013, and Senate Res. 65, strongly supporting the full implementation of United States and international sanctions on Iran. Then there was the House Res. 938. The United States-Israel Strategic Partnership Act of 2013. These three bills embody PAC's wish list for 2013, prevent Iranian nuclear weapons capability, strengthen U.S.-Israel strategic cooperation, and support security assistance for Israel. Anyone with even a rudimentary knowledge of Iran's peaceful nuclear program knows that Iran is not pursuing a nuclear weapon. Washington's stated objective is to prevent Iran from acquiring such weapons. Iran's leaders have repeatedly stressed that the Islamic Republic is not pursuing nuclear weapons. The Zionist entity wants to subvert Iran's legitimate right to acquire nuclear know-how. Pleas by administration officials to congressional leaders not to complicate U.S. foreign policy have been rebuffed under pressure from the lobby. What is never mentioned is that the Zionist entity is the only nuclear state in the Muslim East and has refused to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. A nuclear-armed Israel with 200,400 weapons is okay, but Islamic Iran does not even acquire nuclear know-how. The Zionist entity is the largest recipient of U.S. aid in the world. No other country comes close. This takes many forms: direct financial and military aid, project aid, aid for research, and other forms of subsidies. Add to that the myriad Jewish charities in the U.S. that shovel billions of dollars into the bottomless pit, and one can begin to form a composite picture of the parasitical nature of the Zionist entity. So why do members of Congress need to re-emphasize the special relationship between Washington and Tel Aviv? Jeff Klein, retired local union president, peace and justice activist and Palestinian rights supporter who runs his own blog, calls it puppy training. He says this ensures members of Congress are reflexively obedient to PAC's legislative agenda. Financial aid to Israel is also hidden in other bills that an average American would not know about. It is not surprising that no news organization or polling group has ever conducted a survey to ask whether Americans support such huge amounts of money being given to Israel year after year when an estimated 46 million Americans live in absolute poverty. PAC and pro-Israel writers and commentators in the media make sure such a question is never asked. They know what the answer would be. It is best to keep it under tight wrap. Members of Congress and indeed the White House are willing accomplices in this fraud being perpetrated on the American people. We all know Congress is unpopular, said Dean Debnam, president of Public Policy Polling that did a survey about Congress last January, but the fact that voters like it less than cockroaches really shows how far its esteem has fallen with the American public. He should have added, thanks to PAC.
President John F. Kennedy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. 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 No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
We were born in this world, without the truth. Inside humanity, there is a powerful force, the truth. Exposing truth is good, more better is sharing the truth. Nevertheless, government fear us. The people, united we can own a government, together we can change the way this system works. Only if you understand the true power you have, the intelligence your mind is. How powerful do you think you are? I will say, you are a powerful human being. Deep inside you know that. You are very intelligent. The problem is, the way your intelligence is used. If the people had an idea of what is free and independent, the system only works with the people. This system cannot operate without humanity. What I see is humanity is serving the government. Isn't the government supposed to serve the people? I know this is too much truth. If you disagree with me, find this out by yourself. If you think I'm joking, be ignorant. The more people call this a theory and conspiracy, the less people will awake, and the more governments will own us until the day we are slaves.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. Maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. So just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know, and I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12, way down the line. But I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, you know, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane. You know, but I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. You know, that's what's insane about it. Every country's had a violent revolution for one reason or the other. Not one of them has the freedom we're all talking about. So we're saying give peace a chance, you know, like nobody's ever done it before. And it's not a matter of, we're not thinking in terms of 10 years, we're thinking in terms of peace forever, you know. And everybody's talking about now. I want peace now. We can get peace now if we want it now. And the left wing talk about giving the power to the people. You know, anybody knows that the people have the power. All we have to do is awaken the power in the people. The people are unaware. It's like they're not educated to realize that they have power. They put the politicians in power. They vote for the local mayor. The people do it. But the system is so geared that everybody believes that just the father will fix everything. The father being the government. Government will fix everything. It is all government's fault. You know, shake a fist of the government. Well, we are the government. The people are the government. The people have the power, but we must try and make them aware of this.
And it's not just about the fact that was she pregnant, wasn't she? We'll never know because they embalmed her against all French law so quickly. And all the other speculative things you see in the press. It's also the fact that it was reported that she was being a great success in the landmine campaign that she was running. But also, she was about to go into campaigning on the behalf of the Palestinians. Now, you can imagine someone of Princess Diana's profile doing that. They would not have tolerated it. They could not have dealt with that. So I think that's why she was taken out. I think they've probably been planning it for a while, and it was just perfect timing. They did it when they did.
We could do anything. We can do that. I'm not saying this, I gotta say this again, it's not black against white. When I say we, it's the good against evil. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by we can take anything we want, we can have anything, because it belongs to you. If you right and you got good on your side, I really truly believe that nothing can stop you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm using the same things that America taught me. That's what I'm using, the tools of this country. Capitalism and imperialism, colonialism, I'm using all those against them. And that's what they hate. I say bitch to white cops and the crooked cops. That's who I say bitch to. That's who's a bitch. You know what I'm saying? They hate that. They hate that they can't limit me and hold me into one circle. They hate that every time they try to put me in the gangster category, I flip, do a somersault, and end up in the juice category. And I love that. I love that about myself, and I love that about black people. And if I can love them, I'm loving myself. I remember when I was poor, I hated myself. Now I love myself. So I see what the curse can do, and I see what it takes to get it off you. It just takes a little confidence. And that's what we're missing as black people. We let them make us feel like, you know, quiet. Again, just being quiet. You know what I'm saying? Telling you that wearing gold chains is hoochie. And that's played out because they make jokes about it. They use the ghetto for their pain, for their sorrow, for their culture, for their music, for their happiness, for their movies, to talk about boys and girls. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be another young. I don't want to be 50 years old at a BET We Shall Overcome Achievement Awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me. You know, I want when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
Their whole goal with this philosophy is to teach all men and women that the only end of life is to seek the utmost pleasure and happiness that you can get out of it, because when you die, there's nothing else. That's what they teach. That's what they want you to be. They don't want laws against sexual promiscuity. That's why they don't want families. That's why they don't want marriage. That's why they encourage homosexuality. There's a method to their madness. There's really not much method to yours, because you're operating from a place of ignorance. And until you change that, you're going to be bumbling around, bumping into each other, saying and doing the wrong things, not understanding the nature of your enemy. And if you don't understand the nature of your enemy and the weapons they use, you cannot fight that enemy. You can't fight the battle. You shouldn't even be on the battlefield. That's why you're losing the war. And don't tell me you're not, because I'm in a place of great knowledge about who's winning and who's losing this war. And I can assure you, you're losing the war. Doesn't mean it can't be turned around. But it'll never be turned around until you learn what you need to know. You don't even recognize half the weapons that they use against you. And some of them seem so insignificant that you don't even try. They want to create a world where everybody is happy all the time, doing all of the things that, if you're from a good religious upbringing, is wrong to do. If you're not from a religious upbringing, but you have a good brain and you understand the purpose of morals and ethics, it's still the wrong thing to do. If you're a thinking person. And then the priests had an army. Oh boy, weren't they happy with that? And you never understand how to control everybody else until you get to the top of this pyramid of initiation. Most people never make it past the third step. All above that are carefully chosen and nurtured and taught. And Americans, for all these years, have been looking around for the enemy. They've never been able to find an enemy. So those who control them were able to control them even better by giving them an enemy. That's what Stalin and Churchill and Roosevelt determined at Yalta. Who was going to be the enemy post-war? Turned out to be Stalin. And there was going to be this phony Cold War so that the population would never discover the real enemy. And I'm talking about the population of the Soviet Union as well as the rest of the world. You see, the enemy has always been here. It's your uncle, your aunt, your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your nephew, your nieces, who belong to the fraternal orders collectively known as the mysteries. The very highest degrees of which combine together. Now, do you think they're succeeding? Haven't I described to you just now exactly what is going on in the world today? Yes, they're succeeding.
You better listen to me, folks. I am a messenger, and my message is unmistakable. And it had better not fall upon deaf ears, for those deaf ears will be rendered dead in the coming New World Order. You see, they have made incredible admissions, but none of you are looking, none of you are reading, none of you are absorbing. In fact, most of you are so stupid that you think that the only thing you should read is what you personally believe in or agree with. How can you exist in this world ignorant of the opinions and the writings and the thoughts of everyone else, including your enemies? The battle lines are drawn. Choices will have to be made. I have made my choice. What is yours? The largest intelligence apparatus in the world, with the biggest budget in the history of the world, has been looking for Osama bin Laden for years and years and years, and can't find him. Some doofus, jerk-off reporter with a camera crew waltzes right into his hideout and interviews him. So why do all these fools believe this charade? That a CNN reporter and his little camera crew can do what all the money and all the assets and all the eavesdropping and all the intelligence and all the satellites and all the undercover operatives in the world can never do. It's because they're not trying, they don't want to. Osama bin Laden is their creation, and he is serving them well. I mean, is this some kind of incredible joke that people are so stupid they'll fall for this? And now we're being bombarded with messages that Osama bin Laden is planning to attack the United States of America and Israel. Let me tell you something. If he's an enemy of Israel and the Mossad can't find him, then this thing is the biggest joke that you ever heard of in your life. And I'm telling you, be prepared for a major attack. But it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order who once again want to take the guns and the freedom away from the American people, because we're the only ones left in the world who can oppose the destruction of freedom in the world and then the implementation of a one-world totalitarian socialist government, and that is the goal. And whatever is going to happen that they're going to blame on Osama bin Laden, don't you even believe it. Another social illusion, social engineering project to change the minds and the attitudes and the beliefs of the people of the world, and especially the United States, to bring about one world socialist totalitarian government. I wonder what Osama bin Laden's targets are supposed to be. And if they don't, if this doesn't materialize in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it will eventually materialize, because they haven't succeeded in getting the guns out of the hands of the American people, nor have they succeeded in taking our freedoms away. In fact, there's been a great awakening in this country and a big backlash against these Marxist, communist, puke-faced, lying, subversive, Nazi, jackbooted Gestapo thugs that is gaining momentum. And so I tell you with a certainty, they must do something terrible in order to stop this backlash and regain the sympathy of the mass herds of sheeple out there. And supposedly we're not the only nation searching for Osama bin Laden. So the vast economic resources, the vast technological resources, the vast personnel resources, the vast networks and intricate web spun over all these years by the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA can't find Osama bin Laden, but CNN can? Bullshit. What a crying shame. How in the world could this country of all nations breed such a dumbed down, unthinking, illiterate, uneducated, stupid, ignorant population?
Hello? Anybody home? Or have you all just had a total migration of your brain power? You know what I'm talking about out there. And you know me, folks. I only care about the truth, period. The truth. And it's about time some of you got acquainted with the real hard truth. Well, you see, the government knows they can't pull another Waco. They got to try and get us to do something to justify what they want to do. Something stupid, so that they could actually declare martial law and start rounding people up. Should always be prepared for any emergency. Oh, I was telling people to get prepared and stock up on 2 years of food storage and water and guns and ammunition and everything 8 years ago. Remember, we must have the moral high ground. So we have to wait for them to do something that justifies acting. Whoever fires the first shot loses. I've said that since 1989. I've been telling people that. And it's the truth. And if they fire the first shot, and the militia moves against them legitimately and lawfully to restore constitutional Republican government, and they bring the military against us, the entire American population will support us. But if we fall into these traps, forget it, it's all over. Revolution, you never know what the outcome of a revolution will be. But a restoration has something different. We all know what the outcome is going to be. We know what the goal is, to restore constitutional Republican government, to do away with the excesses in government, to arrest those who have subverted this country and destroyed it, and hold them until they can be tried by a jury of their peers as the Constitution dictates, and find out if they're innocent or guilty. And if they're guilty, hang them. They're trying to instigate the American people to rise up against the government to justify changing the entire character of this nation and bring about one world totalitarian socialist government. That's what they're doing.
If we don't act now, we're going to lose all our rights. And I'm not trying to scare anyone. You don't have to believe what I'm telling you. You can look it up for yourself. You can ask questions. I mean, that's what being a free democratic society is all about, is asking questions. And, you know, they don't have the answers for them because it's all there in black and white. You read the bill and it tells you exactly what's going on. So, and if enough people start questioning, then they're going to have to rescind the bill. I mean, I don't want my family growing up in an oppressive society where they can't walk outside and breathe fresh air without someone pointing a gun at them. And they might say that that could never happen, but why would they put that language in there, giving them the authority to do it if they didn't have any intent on using it? So don't believe what they tell you, because our forefathers left England because of the very things that are going on in our government today. I served my country. I got an honorable discharge from the Army, and I swore an oath to protect the country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, these people that are operating in our government right now are criminals, and you don't have to agree with me. You can disagree with me, but time will tell. And if we don't do something, like I said, if we don't all stand up and participate in our free democratic society, you're going to lose your rights, and you're going to lose them quick. They're devaluing the dollar. The Federal Reserve is printing money, which they don't have the authority to do, regardless of what Congress says they do. It's in the Constitution. They do not have the authority to print paper money. That's in our Constitution. So whatever you hear on TV isn't what the reality is. And the people need to stand up and unite and stop this, because you are losing your rights as we speak. They got H.R. 2749, which is the Food Safety Act, and this affects the entire country, which gives them the authority to shut down a geographical area, meaning a state, a whole state, if they want to, under the guise of contaminated food. They can stop all forms of transportation in and out of the state. They can destroy vehicles. They can declare martial law, and they can shut restaurants down. They can shut down supermarkets. And I'm not going for it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are upset and they don't know what to do. But I'm telling you right now, all we have to do is unite, and we'll be a force to be reckoned with. Because generally speaking, the people are on the side of the winners. Meaning, if there's more of us than there are of them, then people are going to be on our side. They're not going to be on their side. Because that's how people are. It's the nature of them, and the government knows that. They've done studies, they figured those things out, and that's why they put all these hot button issues out there to distract people, so they argue amongst themselves, like race and abortion and terrorism and healthcare and God only knows what else. They got you all distracted, arguing amongst each other while they're all fucking robbing us. Excuse my language, but I'm pissed. So, getting back to the issues, I'm not going to get into everything, but we have a lot of problems in this country, and it's been since the beginning of time. The majority of problems arise from greed. So that's the starting point. Abraham Lincoln said, the money powers prey on the nation in times of peace and conspire against it in times of adversity. And we're in times of adversity right now. And that's what the Federal Reserve is doing. And they're not the only bad guy out there, but they have exceeded their authority by printing money. It's in our Constitution. They don't have the right to print paper money. Our founding fathers knew the hazards of that, and they specifically put it in the Constitution to make it criminal to do so, because it happened before in this country, and they stopped teaching stuff in school, and people don't know. I talked to people today, they didn't even know what martial law was. They're like, what's that? And when I told them, they couldn't believe it. So, I mean, you figure it out. I mean, people have to wake up, and it's unfortunate, but we're at a point right now that if people don't wake up, they're going to lose everything that they fought for and struggled for all these years, and not to mention all the things that our forefathers fought for and died for this country. So I don't want that coming down on my back, and I'm sure that you don't want it coming down on yours.
Remember, this cartoon is 50 years old, and it predicts what will happen to America if the American people don't realize what they are losing. Remember, when America falls, the rest of the world will fall. Only America can change the world.
America is many things to many people. To a 17-year-old kid, it's the malt shop on the corner. To Grandpa, it's the front porch in the cool of the evening. To Mother and her family, it's church on Sunday morning. And to Dad, it's his favorite relaxation. It's the Cracker Barrel philosophers in Crabtree Corners. And it's the tycoons in Wall Street. It's all races, creeds, and religions. It's freedom to work at the job you like. Freedom of speech and to peaceably assemble. Freedom to own property. Security from unlawful search or seizure.
Where's your warrant, Flatfoot?
The right to a speedy and public trial. Protection against cruel punishments and excessive fines. The right to vote. And to worship God in your own way. It is these freedoms that have made America strong.
Okay, so we got our freedom. But management's lousing up everything.
Labor is at fault. It's ruining the country.
My constituents, as your elected representative, I can assure you Labor's right. Management's right. I'm strictly neutral.
Labor, management, politicians, phooey. Oh, they can't tell corn from oats.
What?
Hurry, step right up, folks. Here's the answer to your problems. Dr. Utopia's sensational new discovery, ism. Ism will cure any ailment of the body politic. It's terrific. It's tremendous. Once you swallow the contents of this bottle, you'll have the bountiful benefit of higher wages, shorter hours, and security. Enormous profits, no strikes. Remember, you're the big boss. Government control, no worry about votes. Name your own salary. Bigger crops, lower costs. Why, ism even makes the weather perfect every day. And now then, because we are introducing this amazing item for the first time in this country, it isn't going to cost you 1 cent. All you have to do is sign this little scrap of paper, and you get your bottle absolutely free.
I hereby turn over to ISM Incorporated everything I have, including my freedom and the freedom of my children and my children's children, in return for which said ISM promises to take care of me forever.
Get out of the way.
Pardon me. And who are you, my good man?
I'm John Q. Public.
Ah, my fine friend, you're just in time to share this generous and gigantic offer. Sign right here.
Mind if I read it first?
Hurry up!
Keep your shirts on, boys. Including my freedom. Freedom? Well, sign away my freedom. Why, this is ridiculous.
Don't be corny, brother.
Sure, our system of free enterprise isn't perfect. But before we throw it away for some imported double talk, let's turn the clock back a few years to see what it's done for us. For example, back in the 1890s, Joe Dokes was just a guy who liked to tinker around his barn. Some people thought Joe was lazy. Some even thought he was nuts. But one day, he had an idea. And because he was free to dream his dream and tinker, Joe had a chance to make something of himself and his idea. So, of course, some people didn't think so much of Joe's idea. But that didn't stop him. So Joe got some money from young Aunt Minnie and Uncle Angus and Grandpappy and Mr. Titus. When Joe's friends and relatives used their savings to help him buy tools and property, they were capitalists. Don't blush, folks. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Now, naturally, Joe needed some help. So he hired Willie Lumpkin, who was out of work anyway, and before long, Willie had the know-how and became skilled labor. Because capital, management, and labor worked together, Joe's idea grew. It grew and did things even he never dreamed of. Today, the automobile industry provides millions of jobs that never existed before. And remember, this is a story of only one industry. There are thousands more scattered all over the United States whose history of development is pretty much the same. We've built a country under the American system that sends more young people to high school and college than all the rest of the world combined. Why, even in the Depression, our wages bought more food, clothing, travel, and entertainment than the wages of any other people in the world. Our country has a national income equal to the total national incomes of any other 6 nations in the world. With only 7% of the Earth's people, we drive 70% of the world's automobiles. That's just a sample of the things the capitalistic system has given us in only 160 years. Before signing up, you boys ought to try a little taste of Dr. Ism's formula to see what you'd get in exchange for your freedom. Go ahead, try it.
You can't do this to me! I'll strike!
The state forbids strikes.
Wait till the union hears about this!
Ah, yes, the union. Welcome to our ranks, number 1313.
I'll take this case to the Supreme Court.
The state is the Supreme Court. Our decision is as follows. No more private property. No more you.
The farm vote will put a stop to this.
Farmers don't vote anymore.
What'll they do for seed next year?
You won't have to worry about next year. The state will do your planning from now on.
We must fight to regain our freedom, or everything is lost. Everything!
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
When anybody preaches disunity, tries to pit one of us against the other through class warfare, race hatred, or religious intolerance, you know that person seeks to rob us of our freedom and destroy our very lives. When anybody preaches disunity, tries to pit one of us against the other through class warfare, race hatred, or religious intolerance, you know that person seeks to rob us of our freedom and destroy our very lives. When anybody preaches disunity, tries to pit one of us against the other through class warfare, race hatred, or religious intolerance, you know that person seeks to rob us of our freedom and destroy our very lives. And we know what to do about it.
Now, gentlemen, no violence, please. Don't throw those bottles. Don't throw those bottles.
Working together to produce an ever greater abundance of material and spiritual values for all. That is the secret of American prosperity.